The keto diet has exploded over the last few years. So many people have achieved incredible transformations, but not everybody. Some people do keto, they actually get the opposite results. I remember when I started learning about ketosis back in 2013 and teaching it to my community, it was brand new and it was not really adopted back then. Now you do a quick search on Dr. Google, you'll get millions of results about the keto diet. Personally, I've been following it and teaching it since 2013. I've taken over 5,000 students through my Keto Camp Academy, and I've learned a lot. And in this lesson, I'm gonna share with you the 5 major updates to keto that you need to know if you're looking to burn fat, build muscle, extend your lifespan, reverse conditions like diabetes and autoimmune, and feel incredible. I'll share the 5 major changes, and then I'll put together a 14-day protocol for you to do keto the right way to get exceptional results. I wanna share this first. Keto technically is not a diet. It is a metabolic process. Unlike other diets, a vegan diet or a paleo diet, the difference with keto is that it's not a diet. This is a process that we're all designed to utilize. Every single one of our ancestors, they used keto. How do I know this? Well, they didn't have food readily available and their body needed an alternative fuel source, fat and ketones, during times of lean months. So keto is not going anywhere because it's part of human physiology. Let's start with the first major change to keto, and that is this. Protein is the most important macronutrient on keto, not fat. All right, for a lot of people, that might not make sense because when you go on Dr. Google and ask for the percentages of a keto diet, it's gonna show you it's a very high fat diet, about 80% of your calories coming from fat, 15% protein, making it a low protein diet, and then about 5% carbohydrates. That is one way to do keto, but it's not the best way. That's because if you're looking to burn fat and lose weight on keto, you don't necessarily want to eat a high fat diet. It should be protein focused. This is because you can get your fat calories from that plate of keto food in front of you, or you can get your fat calories from your stomach, your visceral fat, your love handles. The choice is yours. We used to think that too much protein on keto created this gluconeogenesis process where there's a production of glucose, raising your blood sugar levels and kicking you out of ketosis. While there is a glucogenesis effect with consuming protein, it's typically not high enough to bump you out of ketosis. There's a couple reasons here. The first main reason is that when you're in a state of ketosis, your glycogen stores, which are your sugar reserves in your muscle and liver cells, are pretty depleted. So you might get a conversion of protein to glucose, but that conversion, that excess glucose will just replenish those sugar reserves, not necessarily raising your blood sugars enough to a point where it kicks you out of ketosis. The other reason why I love protein on keto is because it helps you stay full and satiated. It helps to preserve lean muscle mass and build lean muscle mass. Both are so important for insulin sensitivity and for fat loss. There's a thermogenic effect to consuming high protein rich foods on keto, which actually supports your basal metabolic rate, your metabolism. So the rule of thumb that I teach my Keto Camp Academy students is to hit 1 gram of protein per pound of your ideal body weight on keto. For example, if you currently weigh 185 pounds, but your ideal body weight, your goal weight is 125 pounds, then you want to consume 125 grams of protein per day. How much fat should you consume? The fat that comes naturally with your protein sources. For example, if you have a piece of salmon, there's protein and fat. No need to add additional fat. If you're having a piece of steak like ribeye, New York strip, it already has fat. No need to add butter or excessive fat. If you're having coffee, no need to add butter or ghee or MCT oil to your coffee. There's no need for the additional fat calories because your metabolism does need to metabolize and use the calories from your fat before your body fat. So by lowering your fat intake to just getting the fat that comes with the protein, you're gonna burn fat faster, feel better, and feel like an incredible keto rock star. And when I share the 14-day protocol for you, we'll put it all together, so just bear with me here. The second major change to keto is a surprising one, and that is to stop eating almonds, kale, and spinach on keto. Here's why. Almonds, kale, and spinach contain a high amount of an anti-nutrient called oxalates. Oxalates do a lot of bad things inside of your body. When we look at oxalates through a microscope, they look like tiny little needles. When you consume oxalates, these needles poke holes in your intestinal lining, your digestive system, which creates leaky gut and overall inflammation. That could, in excess, lead to autoimmune conditions, and almonds, spinach, and kale have some of the highest concentration of these oxalates. And unfortunately, and I made this mistake too, on a keto approach, we're typically eating keto pizzas and keto breads and keto bars that are usually loaded with almond flour, or we're drinking almond milk. Not a good idea. Kale and spinach, yeah, they're keto friendly, they're green leafy vegetables, but they're also loaded with these oxalates. So instead, you want to swap those out. And by the way, just making this simple swap here, you're going to notice less joint pain, less brain fog, more energy, more fat loss, better sleep. Here are the swaps. Replace almonds and almond milk, spinach and kale with the following nuts and seeds. I love macadamia nuts, pili nuts, pecans, walnuts, and even pistachios. Replace your spinach and your kale with arugula, which is an amazing support for your liver to produce bile and break down fat, and lettuce. Not a lot of nutritional value in lettuce, but it's low in anti-nutrients. You want to replace almond milk with unsweetened macadamia nut milk or unsweetened coconut milk. These simple swaps, they go a long way. The third major change with keto is understanding that not all keto-friendly foods are health-friendly. Sure, you could eat a whole host of these inflammatory, what I call frankenfoods, and get into ketosis, but you're actually not going to lose the weight, have more energy, lower inflammation, and feel good when you consume these foods. The first set of foods we want to get out of our keto approach is artificial sweeteners. It's very typical for us to go from eating foods and beverages that have sugar to keto-friendly beverages and bars, but they typically contain artificial sweeteners such as sucralose, aspartame, acesulfame, potassium. Do an audit on the ingredients list and make sure it does not have any of those. Those artificial sweeteners could actually create more hunger, insulin spikes, they could change your gut microbiota as well, all bad things. Instead of these artificial sweeteners, we want natural, healthier sweeteners such as monk fruit, stevia, xylitol, erythritol, and swerve. Even with these healthier sugar replacements that I just mentioned, you don't want to overdo it with them. We don't want to trade a sugar addiction for a monk fruit addiction. But personally, I do well with all of those sweeteners, and most of my students do as well. So if you're gonna have a sugar replacement, make it any one of those that I just shared. The next set of inflammatory keto foods are a set of fats. Arguably, these fats I'm gonna share with you will create more disease, more inflammation, heart disease, cancer, autoimmune, faster than sugar, even smoking. And the reason I say this is because these polyunsaturated fats, also called linoleic acid, also called seed oils or vegetable oils, they stay in your body for a very long time. The half-life is about 680 days, 2 years. So if you stop eating them today, half of them will remain in your body 2 years later, creating inflammation around your cells, blocking your hormones from getting in, blocking oxygen from getting into the cells, and preventing toxins from getting out of the cells. Unfortunately, these fats are in a lot of keto foods and even foods in general. They're in about 80% of our food supply in the United States. They're very unstable fats that are processed at high heat temperatures, pressure, and chemical agents and detergents that make them rancid and inflammatory before you even purchase them, heat them up even more, further exacerbating their rancidity. It's like biting into an apple, letting it sit on the counter for a few hours, coming back and looking at it, it turns brown. That's oxidation. This is happening to your body when you consume these bad fats. So I'm gonna give you a list of 8 of them, and then a shocking, surprising fat that you wanna avoid on keto. So here's the 8 that you wanna avoid. Canola oil, called rapeseed oil in the UK, cottonseed oil, corn oil, sunflower oil, soybean oil, safflower oil, rice bran oil, and then grapeseed oil. Those are what Dr. Kate Shanahan calls the hateful 8. The 9th fat, which is not a seed oil, but I do not recommend this on keto, is fish oil supplementation. A study came out from New Zealand showing that 83% of fish oil supplementation is rancid on the shelf before you even consume it. Okay, Ben, but I use the best quality fish oil. It is organic. They test for heavy metals. It's cold processed. Arguably, you're correct. That's much better than most fish oil, but the problem is even more than just that. It's when it enters your body. These fats, fish oil, are even more unstable than those vegetable oils I mentioned. And when it mixes with your warm body temperature and stomach acids, you take this beautiful fat and you turn it into a rancid fat. So I always tell my students, instead of taking fish oil, eat the fish. Eat wild-caught salmon, mackerel, sardines 2 to 3 times a week. You'll get enough EPA and DHA that your body needs to thrive. The fourth major change is that men and women do keto differently. Women that are menstruating have a 28-day hormonal pattern. I want you to think and compare that to the moon. Men have a 24-hour recycling hormone pattern. I want to compare that to the sun. So we men could be more aggressive on keto. We tend to get faster results on keto. You have probably seen this with, if you're a woman listening or watching this and you've done keto with your husband or partner, you're thinking, man, why is he losing so much weight faster? Well, we have different fluctuations in our hormones, and that should be considered. And menstruating women are more similar to men in terms of their hormonal patterns. Now, I'm not gonna go too deep into the changes here, but I want you to understand this. If you're a guy, you could be more aggressive. You could continue to do keto for a little bit longer than others. You could lose weight faster and practice fasting. We'll get into all those protocols later. But if you're a menstruating woman, the week that's most important to get out of ketosis and have a little bit more healthy carbs is the week right before your period. Now, we saw this anecdotally many years ago. You know, Dr. Mindy Pelz and Dr. Pompa, we mastermind together for years. And we would notice that our clients and patients, the women who have a menstrual cycle, they would get cravings the week before their period. This is when they say, like, my body just needs chocolate or carbs. And we were thinking, you know, we start to see this, it's a very common theme. Why is that so? Well, we figured out, we were one of the first groups in the world to figure this out. Now it's very popular to talk about this. This is back in 2017 and 18. We figured out that the innate intelligence, the inner physician within your body, is sending that woman signals to increase their healthy carbs to make hormonal conversions. Like progesterone and estrogen need to be built up the week before the period. So this is more of a low carb week, not a keto week. What's the difference? Low carb is 100 to 150 grams of total carbs per day. Keto is under 50 total grams of carbs. So the week before the period, you want to bump up the carbs and have it come from healthy carbs like citrus fruits, sweet potatoes, rice, whatever you do well with. Now, menstruating women, you want to master your stress levels when you do keto, because keto is a mild stress to your body. It's a good stress that makes it stronger and healthier. It's called a hormetic stress. But when your ovaries have retired during postmenopause, then your adrenal glands need to pick up the slack. So at this time, you want to focus on the hormone oxytocin. And you can build oxytocin by laughing, doing your favorite hobbies, surrounding yourself with loving people, petting your dog, your cat. Mastering your stress is very important for postmenopausal women. So you gotta understand, men do it differently than women, and men could do it a little bit more aggressively and longer than you ladies out there. The fifth major change, this is gonna be shocking to many of you who have never heard me say this before, especially coming from me, the founder of Keto Camp, who loves keto. However, this is the change. Don't do keto forever. The goal is metabolic flexibility. Burn sugar, burn fat, go back and forth, thrive. Unfortunately, 93% of Americans are stuck burning sugar. They're metabolically unhealthy. They're in a keto deficiency. We need to teach them to burn fat, to do keto. But there comes a point where you have built up this metabolic machinery, your metabolism is ready to flex out. That point is different for everyone. In my Keto Camp Academy, I have a 45-day Keto Flex reset where you do keto for 45 days, then you flex out according to man versus women, women who has a menstrual cycle versus women who are postmenopausal, and it's all built out for you. I don't have time to go over all of that, but you need to understand we don't want to do keto forever. Keto forever, or keto for a very long time, could wreck your stress hormones, deplete your active thyroid hormone T3, and also lead to muscle loss and other bad things like a buildup of a nasty free radical called 4-hydroxynonenal, 4-HNE, and other things that I have spoken about for many, many years. So you want to understand that we want to flex in and out. How I do it personally, and keep in mind, I'm a man. Monday through Saturday, I actually do keto. I do carnivore, but I'm in ketosis and carnivore. Sunday, I flex out. So I have one flex day where I increase my healthy carbs for a day, then I'm back in. However, I didn't do this off the start, at the beginning. I did this after a couple of months. The way I recommend it for most people is a 45-day approach of keto, then flex out. It's exactly how I teach it in the Keto Camp Academy. You can learn more, get access to the full system, coaching from me and my coaches over at 𝙄𝙉𝙏𝘏𝘼𝑃.com. Camp is spelled with a K. Now, let's get into your 14-day protocol for keto. This is a protocol for somebody who is brand new to keto, at least the first week. If you're not brand new to keto, you're gonna follow the second week starting today. So the first week here is to go from burning sugar to burning fat. I've taken over 5,000 students through this protocol, and it's 2 easy steps here to get from burning sugar to burning fat in day 7 without any side effects. So the first step is a gradual decrease in your total carbohydrates. Put in your foods that you're eating before you make any changes into a free meal tracker app like Chronometer. We use Chronometer. Go to chronometer.com/ketocamp to get it for free. And if you're consuming, let's say, 300 grams of carbs per day, like the average American, you want to gradually decrease that every day until by day 6, day 7, you're at a total of 50 grams of carbs per day coming from non-starchy vegetables, green leafy vegetables. The second step is to go hand in hand with the first step of a carb reduction. The second step is to follow the 2-2-2-2 rule. And you want to consume these fats every day with the sea salt. So it's 2 tablespoons of olive oil or avocado oil every single day, 2 tablespoons of butter or ghee every single day, 2 tablespoons of coconut oil or MCT oil every single day, and then 2 teaspoons of sea salt every single day. Why do we want to eat all these fats? Ben, you told me it's not a high-fat diet. In the beginning of keto, the first 7 days, it is a high-fat diet. After that, it's protein-focused, and we'll talk about that during week 2. The reason why we introduce a whole bunch of these healthy fats is because you're gonna lower your blood sugar levels, your insulin levels, your glucose by lowering your carbs. And we wanna teach the metabolism, kind of guide it and say, look, I know you're getting low on blood sugar and low on glucose, but here are all these fatty acids to burn for fuel. Burn that for fuel. It ramps up your ketone production, helps you make that metabolic switch into the great land of ketosis. The question I get asked all the time, do I consume all these fats all in once? It's a lot of fat. No, you're consuming it with your meals. You're using the fats to cook your food in, salad dressings and dips. If that's too much fat for you to consume, then do the 1-1-1-1 rule. The reason why we have sea salt there, and it's 2 teaspoons of sea salt, not 2 tablespoons of sea salt, is because we're going to lower glucose and lower insulin, which means we're going to shed a lot of excess body weight, water weight, which is great, but the kidneys go through this diuresis process where it sheds a lot of electrolytes. And if that happens too fast, you get something called the keto flu. And more accurately stated, it is the carbohydrate withdrawal symptoms. You don't have to get that. So by consuming 2 teaspoons of salt per day, those first 7 days, you replenish those electrolytes that are lost. Then we enter week 2, days 8 through days 14. If you're not new to keto, you could skip the first week and start right here. If you're new to keto, complete the first week first. Week 2 is a high protein keto diet. And I know I just called it a diet, but we know it's a metabolic process where you're getting that 1 gram of protein per pound of your ideal body weight. You're going to only consume the fat that comes with the protein, nothing additional. You're stopping that 2-2-2-2 rule, and you're still gonna have an upper limit of total carbohydrates at 50 grams per day coming from non-starchy vegetables, green leafy vegetables. You don't have to go to 50 grams, that's just your upper limit. You could go to 20 or 30, it's your choice. But you're gonna do that and pair that with an 18-6 intermittent fasting schedule. If you've never practiced fasting before, that might sound scary. It might be like me asking you to hold your breath for 2 minutes, but I promise you, when you do the first step and get fat adapted, then pair it with fasting, it works incredible, where you actually have more energy, you feel better doing this approach versus going right into fasting without doing keto first. So an 18-6 schedule is great for autophagy, autophagy's cell repair, by the way, fat loss, turning your brain on, fixing your gut, feeling good. And it's out of a 24-hour period. You have a 6-hour eating window where you have 2 to 3 meals, hitting your protein requirements, fat coming from the protein, under 50 grams of total of carbohydrates, and at 18 hours fasted. So that would look like this: 12 to 6 p.m. eating window, high protein keto diet, 6 p.m. to 12 p.m. the next day, fasting. Just water, sea salt, coffee, tea, no food. That's what you do starting week 2. You continue to do that, you're gonna notice amazing results. Yes, you're gonna lose weight. Yes, you're gonna have more energy. But most importantly, you're extending your lifespan and showing up in this world as your true, authentic self because you're healthy. And I hear so many people say, Ben, it's expensive to get healthy. Well, if you think it's expensive to get healthy, wait until they hand you the bill for getting sick. Einstein said intellectuals solve problems, geniuses prevent them. Let's be a genius and let's be proactive, not reactive. Now let's get to the most common asked questions here on YouTube when I educate on this topic. Before I do, I wanna let you know about a brand new book. I have a brand new book called Metabolic Freedom, published with Hay House, being released May 13th, 2025. This book outlines the exact steps to restore your metabolism, heal your hormones, and burn fat. It presents to you the problems to why we see metabolic disease and the exact steps to restore your metabolism to burn serious fat. At the end of the book, there's a 30-day plan for you to lose up to 30 pounds in 30 days. And here's the exciting announcement. You could get this book right now. And when you order it today, you'll get a free Metabolic Freedom mini course where I teach you how the metabolism works, my favorite keto and fasting hacks to burn fat, and exclusive interviews with Dr. Jason Fung, Dr. Daniel Pompa, Cynthia Thurlow, Megan Ramos, and others. That is all for free in this mini course. If you go to the QR code on the screen right now, or if you're listening on the podcast, head to metabolicfreedombook.com or click the link at the top of the notes of this video and this podcast. You could go purchase the book right now and get immediate access to this free mini course and exclusive interviews. Click the link down below or go to metabolicfreedombook.com. We'll put a link for the book down below. Go get it. There's an entire chapter on keto and fasting and then a 30-day protocol. So go get it and go get access to the free course. Here's the first question. Can you give me an example of what a day's worth of eating keto looks like? For sure. Let's give an example of 3 meals a day, 8 a.m., 12 p.m., 6 p.m. A great breakfast on keto would be protein, fat, and fiber. That would be eggs, maybe bacon or turkey bacon, avocado, and arugula. That's a fantastic breakfast. Or a high protein, high fat keto smoothie. I love the protein powder from �゛ Foods. You can mix that with macadamia nut milk or with coconut milk, unsweetened for both of them. Put some ice, maybe some macadamia nut butter. Great keto breakfast. You could get �゛ Foods Prime Protein over at 𝙂Foods.com/benazadi for 20% off. That would be 2 examples for breakfast. Lunch could be a fatty keto salad. 2 to 3 cups of arugula drenched with olive oil with maybe some pecans or some walnuts and maybe topped with salmon or steak. Incredible lunch for you to consume. Dinner could be steak and Brussels sprouts or steak and cauliflower, or even a different protein source like fish and Brussels sprouts, fish and cauliflower with butter on top. That's an example of a day's worth of eating keto, especially that first week with the healthy fats you want to consume. Next question, what's the best way to test ketones? There are 3 ketone bodies that we could test for. We have acetone, which is tested with breath meters. We have acetoacetate, which is tested with urine strips, and then we have beta-hydroxybutyrate. I love testing blood ketones for beta-hydroxybutyrate. That's the king of ketones. That's the one that crosses the blood-brain barrier, and that's the one we want to test. Urine strips are not going to be that accurate, especially after the first week when your cells start getting familiar with using ketones, and breath meters could be hit or miss. Blood ketones are the best, and the cool thing about using a blood finger prick is you could get a blood glucose and a blood ketone. If your blood ketones register as 0.5 or higher, congratulations, you're fat adapted, you're in ketosis, and that's looking at millimoles per liter. I use Keto Mojo. If you go to ketocampmachine.com and use the coupon code KETOCAMP24, you can get a nice discount off your Keto Mojo device with the strips, and camp is spelled with a K. Keto Camp Machine is the website, we'll put it down below, and KETOCAMP24 is the coupon code. Hey, before I move on to the next question, I have a free fat burn guide for you. It is 3 easy steps to lose up to 10 pounds in 7 days, and easy to follow. You're gonna lose a lot of weight in a matter of days, and you're gonna feel good and have more energy. This is my Burn Fat ebook, which you could get for free by either scanning the QR code on your screen if you are watching on YouTube, or if you're listening on the podcast, go to burnfatbook.com keto.com, download it for free. I'll drop that link down below as well. Here's the next question. When I do keto, I get loose stools and diarrhea. How do I overcome this? This is a liver issue. Your liver, which is the soccer mom organ, the MVP of the body, such an important organ for fat loss and detoxification. The liver produces bile. Bile breaks down fat on keto. And if you are producing thick, sluggish bile, you don't break down fat, you get loose stool and even diarrhea. So we want to support the liver. We could do that with bitters, arugula, dandelion greens, apple cider vinegar, coffee, tea, lemons, limes, radishes, radicchio, bitter for the liver. And if you're doing that already and you're still getting loose stools and diarrhea, then supplement with ox bile. The next question is this: what is the difference between the keto diet and a carnivore diet? I think you know the answer. Keto is a metabolic process, and carnivore, you're actually in ketosis when you do carnivore, but a carnivore diet is just meat and fat. You cannot have the vegetables, you cannot have the nuts and seeds. It's a very aggressive, I guess, approach to keto, and it's really beneficial for autoimmune, for the gut. It's really beneficial for fat loss. I do it from time to time. I've done a 90-day experiment. You might have watched that on YouTube. So a carnivore diet is a little bit kind of like the next level to keto, but you are in ketosis typically when you do carnivore, but it's just meat and fat on carnivore, no vegetables, no nuts and seeds. I hope this lesson was valuable. Share this with somebody you know who's thinking about doing keto or doing keto. If you're listening on the podcast, leave it a rating and review and share this with somebody you know today. And if you love this, you're gonna love a recent video I just published on the secret to weight loss is not what you think. Easy to understand, a little bit more difficult to implement, but I lay it all out for you. Check out this clip. I'll see you in that video. You create something called hormone resistance, which leads to weight loss resistance. So if you've tried cutting calories, excessive exercise, fad diets, and maybe toxic fat loss pills and supplements, and you lose some weight and gain it back, this is the reason why. Well, it's important to understand that glucose in the bloodstream is natural. It's not